Welcome back to Cinema Alley, folks, the show where we talk about your favorite movies and their stories. I am your host, James Howe, and with me always is my co-host here, Chris Cupp. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I am happy to be here, and let's get this movie started.
Right after
Yeah,
all these technical difficulties and me waking up at 5 in the fucking morning to fucking record.
yeah, we
Well,
got
we're
all our
not recording
chores
at 5
done,
in the
man.
morning, but pretty much.
Whew.
So, yeah, we're going to jump into it because this episode, folks, has so much to cover. We're pretty much almost covering about 4 storylines, really 4 to 6, depending. There's a lot to cover. But, of course, we got to establish what are we covering, Chris? We're covering South Park bigger,
Big,
longer,
longer, uncut.
and uncut.
Yeah,
Yes, written by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Pam Brady, writers of South Park with the co-creators. Pam actually wrote the first 3 seasons of South Park, and then she went on to be like story consultant. She had higher up jobs, and she pretty much lasted with Matt and Trey all the way up to 2008. The script that we were going by, though, is not the final product. This is actually something almost completely, totally different. With
a lot of
our
stuff is
past with
like switched around, and just the musical numbers in the script are a lot shorter. I think they were just mostly
they're even
placeholders.
not even the same musical numbers to begin with.
Yeah,
They have the same general gist of what they were to get, but the lyrics and some of the upbeatness doesn't really quite match up to the finalness. But yes, this is your foul mouth musical story about censorship. That's pretty much what this is. Again, we are reading the script from the ScriptLabs. We're not reading it live, obviously, but going over it. And this is the 8th draft from January 21st to 1999 to also wrap up a little bit of the origins of this. Ever since season 1, Paramount has been wanting a movie based on South Park. It was a hit. It was a hit back then. It blew up, I think, a lot quicker than Simpsons did. Um, and
Simpsons
with
did
the
it.
Simpsons did it first, but yeah, but South Park did it first with a movie.
Mhm.
And after episode 6 of season 1, Death, that was kind of more of Matt and Trey's idea of what to do possibly for a movie. And within the production of season 2 and season 3, that's when they were writing the script and also kind of going in production, which I really do think whenever it came out, which, this is 99, didn't it come out like in 2000, 2001?
Oh, I
I think
think
that
it
was
was
the
late
official.
'90s.
Was it late 90s? Okay, so then it must
'99.
have came
Yeah,
out
came out in '99.
99. So yeah, it must have been right when season 3 was going on. So if you watch this movie all by yourself and you have no clue who these characters are, just go watch the first 3 seasons of South Park. That's like 2 days of material right there
Yep.
just to watch this movie. And you kind of get a better feeling, especially when you read this script. You get a better feeling of the characters. There are some characters that I don't think made it to the final cut, but like really, like they were just dying, and then shit happened, and
The
you
whole
know,
Ike storyline of being like hidden in the attic and like kind of
oh my
hunted like
god.
a Jew is kind of
It,
removed
it,
from
it,
the final theatrical cut, but I wish they kept it.
I think though that they do still make subtle references to it because the
They
Diary of Anne
do.
Frank. I think they do have it where he's in the attic, but
Yeah.
that's later on in the story, and it's some of the most heartbreaking shit ever. Because when I read this script, and I was laughing my ass off at some of the most outrageous shit that Matt, Trey, and Pam came up with, there were some moments where it's like, oh my god, like holy fucking shit, this hurts. You feel for Ike, you feel for some of the characters, and you kind of feel for Satan. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. That's a little bit the backstory of it. Obviously, it was hell to make this movie, and I think Matt and Trey kind of think that if they ever do another movie, they're kind of doing the same thing of what The Simpsons did, where it'll be the end. It'll be after the TV show is done, and they'll probably wrap it up with a movie.
Well,
I know that the
you
Simpsons
mean
guys, yeah.
like the Simpsons are making another movie, or
Well, the Simpsons creators, I forgot what documentary I saw, but they were essentially talking about if they ever did a sequel to the Simpsons movie, it will have to be after the show is done for. It's just done. They end it because even they knew it was so much train wreck. I forgot what season the Simpsons were on, But a lot of people sat there and said that you can definitely tell that the season, that when they were writing both the movie and the show, that the show was just poor in content, because I guess they had, compared to South Park, they only had 3 writers on the movie, compared to they probably had like at least a good small handed staff to write season 3 and 2.
Yeah, it's just wild
Simpsons,
thinking of the Simpsons
Simpsons,
because
I
like
think they added more writers into it, or
yeah,
they took their strongest writers to put it to it, and so therefore that season was weaker. So obviously, none of them had really taken the mind or taken into consideration like how when the Flintstones and the Jetsons did their animated movies, they usually did them after the run.
yeah.
Like they would
Well,
have this like a Flintstones special, or like a TV special movie, or a movie in itself after they're done doing the season. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure even the writers knew there's no way in hell you want us to make high quality content. Though yes, we're talking the Flintstones and Jetsons here. And then you also want us to make such a high content movie. It's like, no, we have to divulge all of our time to one craft. And I guess you kind of probably figured with today's day that maybe we could do that. Obviously, that still has not worked out, but hopefully, if we do get a sequel to a Simpsons or a South Park movie, it will be after the shows have, you know,
I mean,
sailed their flags and we have
we
said
technically
goodbye.
have had kind of other movies. We've had the COVID special movie, both
Yeah, but at
parts,
the
and
same
then
time, too, though, they didn't
streaming
really have that
movies.
long of seasons. I think there was like one season of South Park where I think they only had 4 or 6 episodes. And that
Well,
was, I think, because of COVID hit. And then they started working on those specials.
I think
But
yeah,
those are
last
those are more
few seasons have
episodes,
been like
though.
10 episodes a piece. I think
Yeah.
8 to 10
Like
episodes a piece.
they shrunk them down from being like 22, 24, what, about episodes per season, about
Yeah,
somewhere around there, like
about
almost
20
like a
episodes, I
20.
think.
Yeah, they shrunk them dramatically just so that they could do these, and believe it or not, throughout COVID, folks, like South Park is kind of what brought me back to it. I never really sit there and thought that South Park would save us. But when shit got bleak and you needed to laugh at it, like bam, Matt and Trey come up with some of the best shit ever. They're
I
probably
fucked
still
a
one of the
penguin.
best satirists of today's day. Simpsons have kind of have a slump. They definitely they don't feel so much satirical anymore. They kind of feel like uh, Seth MacFarlane.
They've
How like Family Guy kind of had like a really good run of satire, and then it just made fun of itself, and then
yeah,
it kind of like you
they're
get
30
golden
seasons
episodes from
in,
time to
so
time.
like
Yeah,
the
that happens
quality
with the
has
show.
definitely shifted.
You could say the same thing when you go back to um like the older Hanna-Barbera stuff that gets remade. I think the only one that still survives and thrives is Scooby-Doo. And that's because there have been certain series in which they've been able to reinvent the wheel, sort of say. Like I usually stopped watching everything after A Pup Named Scooby-Doo because I kind of thought, okay, they did it all. And then our friend Paulette introduced me, I think was it Scooby Doo? No, not Scooby Doo. Where are you? It was one where it was Lovecraftian theme. Like they actually had like an overarching theme. That one was actually really, really good. I really enjoyed that one.
I
Um,
don't think I ever saw that one. I haven't watched Scooby Doo in forever.
like, dude, they freaking make Fred have like a complex because, like, spoiler alert for Scooby Doo folks if you guys haven't seen this run, but Fred finds out, I think, like he's adopted, and like his parents actually really didn't care about him,
It's
and
kind of
it's
dark.
like, yeah, and it's like poor Fred.
I mean, are they?
Um,
They're still going around solving mysteries, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. Like,
Okay.
but in between all that, Fred is dealing with this because I think like it was like at first like his parents are dead, and then you find out that it's like, oh no, we're actually alive, and I think he was like actually adopted, and that they kind of really actually didn't want him to begin with, and it was like, oh my god, it was either I think he was adopted or maybe there was another character in there that was adopted, but Udo Kier plays like this creepy ass fucking bird, and it's supposed to be kind of like before the Mystery Gang, there was a previous Mystery Gang, and it Fred's parents were part of it, and instead of a dog, it was a fucking crazy ass parakeet that sounds like your most generic creepy German doctor ever.
That
Yeah.
sounds awful. So
It,
South
it's
Park.
Yes, South Park, South Park. But either way, the whole thing is about reinventing the wheel, and I think South Park kind of did that when they did the COVID specials. For one, it injected new life into them that they could talk about something that quite obviously I think everyone can definitely deal with. But yeah, South Park. We're jumping into South Park. So we're gonna jump right into our heroes breakdown. Do bear with us because there's actually a awful lot. There are four storylines. There is the Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and then there is a bit of a storyline with Cartman. It's very loose. Uh, Chris here believed that he was more or less kind of used more as just for the comedy injection to kind of give
Yeah,
us a bit of a
it's just the
break.
comedic relief, I think, more in this movie.
Yeah, because he doesn't really have like a hero's journey. You know, Cartman's still a fat ass that swears and wants his cheesy poofs and wants his Terrence and Phillip. That's pretty much what he is, and that's why he goes on the adventure because he wants his Canadian imports back. It's pretty much what he wants.
Yep.
Um, and again, it's kind of funny that the way how this story goes, and I don't think they even wrote that episode yet of when Cartman. It was a holiday special when Cartman dressed up like Hitler for the Halloween candy contest, and then yeah, like it gets worse and even more offensive to the point that Chef is all like, "I'm gonna fucking kick your ass," and yeah, because he's all like, "Cartman, you better take that goddamn costume off. I'll kick your ass and everything." And
Still,
Cartman's like, "What's wrong with it?" And he'll start speaking like this faux German, and it's
yeah.
all like, "Cartman, shut the hell up." And
Favorite episode
so,
is when he like gets the Civil War reenactors to actually restart the Civil War
oh
and start winning.
yeah, yeah. So this film pretty much kind of mirrors a little bit of what Cartman goes to throughout the rest of the series. But yeah, so we pick up with Stan. He's gathering his friends up. The new Terrence and Phillip movie, Ass is on Fire, are on. And one of the first friends he picks up is Kenny. And when Stan picks him up at Kenny's house, it's apparently a Sunday morning, and Kenny's mom is all like, like, Kenny, you better not run off to church to go see some goddamn movie. And it's funny because
If you skip out on
church
church, you're gonna
it's
go
church and
straight to hell.
she's gonna throw
Okay.
the Lord's name in vain with GD, and it's like, yeah, that's not any better. And she tells him, he's like, you're gonna go to hell for skipping out on church, and he's like, okay, and he just
Yeah.
jumps right off. And
I feel that,
um
Kenny. I feel that.
and then they go to pick up Kyle, and we also get to meet a bit of Kyle's family. We get to meet the brother Ike, who is the adopted Canadian brother. And then we get to meet the head bitch in charge, Sheila Broflowski, who bitches at Kyle. It's all like, take your brother with you, Kyle. It's like, ah, and like they just scream at each other.
Kick the
It's
baby.
fucking great because it's like it's a nice little piece of like kind of showing what the film's central villain is. That really she's just a mom. I know that there are mothers out there that it's like include your brother. And it's like I don't want to. It's like include your brother, and part of it is yes, include your brother. The other part is I need a break from your brother. Fucking include your brother, and it's very very relatable. And then of course they go and they pick up Cartman, and while doing this, they're having this huge musical number. It's not really quite redneck mountain town, but it's almost there. There's a lot of these songs, these iconic ones. I think the only one that is very prominent in this is Uncle Fucker. I think that's really the only song in here that never changed, and it's because it's such a great tune.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember getting in trouble from my mom as a kid because I would sing Uncle Fucker around the house, and I had it recorded on a VHS tape, so she would constantly hide the tape. That one and Beavis and Butthead, so she did not want me to watch them. But yet, I would always find a way to find the VHS tape and watch it because it was good. Um, so yeah, they move on to the theater, and they're all happy they're gonna go see it. And then the ticket booth guy is like, no, and I was like, well, what do you mean no? Because they have the money and they want to go see the movie, but the movie is rated R for filthy language, and it's not suitable for. I think it was like what kids underneath 14, because the fifth graders got to go see it. I think it was 15, so it was like it's not really like a rated R film, even though some of the content of that movie is very rated R even for its time. But yeah, I think it's like a TV for like kind of like a PG-13, PG-14, somewhere
They
around
needed
there.
adults to get it
Yeah,
done.
they needed adults for it. So what did they do? They went and they paid a homeless man to fucking buy their tickets.
Mhm.
Um, and even the homeless man's like, "Hey, don't you know that this is inappropriate for kids?" It's all like, yeah, if you want your alcohol, it's like you better fucking buy your tickets. So, they go in, they're seeing the movie, and they are completely
Blown
absorbed
away.
in all of the foul language. You what is it, cockstain nut sucker or something like that. There's like a lot of, and I do kind of pre-warn you guys, it gets very graphic later on in the film. It's like this scene right here alone, like, yeah, it's kind of cute and funny to laugh at, but man, some of the shit that comes out of Cartman's mouth, it's like it gets pretty graphic. I really Chris, help me out here. How do we transition?
So the boys go to school the next day and brag about all the cool things they saw in the movie. And Stan, that's when Stan sees Wendy, and she's hanging out with the new kid, Gregory. And since Wendy has no interest in childish things like the Terrence Phillip movie, she wants Stan to come skate with her. Neither of them are really interested in what preoccupies their life. Wendy breaks off their relationship with Stan because she sees Gregory as more mature. Let's see.
Yeah, I still don't see what the fuck she saw in Gregory. Fuck that guy. But
He's
yeah,
he's got
so
a he believes in something, and he
yeah,
seems so
that
much more mature than Stan.
yeah, he has a passion for something that isn't setting your own farts on fire, which will come into play later. Um, but yeah, so like this is definitely the B plot. The Stan Wendy love interest thing, it's very much tied into the main plot, but I consider this the beginning of the B plot, which really the B plot doesn't start until almost halfway through the film.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean,
but also too, I look at this as just one long gigantic episode of South Park. The structure in this is very different. So if you're kind of following along and you would think, well, I don't know if I think this is the B plot area, or maybe if this is the call to adventure. It's like most of the story structure for each character of Stan, Kyle, and Kenny and all them, they occupy at totally different lengths of the film, which I give the writers so much credit, to be that flexible and to be that creative. Like, it actually works.
yeah,
Nothing really feels disjointed. It still moves so smoothly for
it's
a
kind of difficult for an
TV product to
ensemble
be in film.
cast.
Yes. And usually in ensembles, everything else is kind of bundled up. It's like, oh, okay, we know this guy's issue. We know that girl's issue. We get this. And it's still at the very beginning, where throughout this story, we're kind of following one person's little call to, and then our next person's call to is way later on into the story. Which, I definitely need to look in to see if there are any other movies out there that take that kind of initiative. I'm pretty sure if we find a foreign film, they'll do it because they're very flexible with story structure, not so much formulaic to the American style. So yeah, it's South Park Elementary now. The kids uh, most of the classmates have all seen the movie, and they're wearing the merchandise for it, all except for Wendy and Gregory, who again they don't find Terrence and Phillip whatsoever interesting. And within the first few moments of Mr. Garrison's class, I think it was teaching about history, Cartman and uh, Mr. Garrison get into it, all about saying the word fuck.
Mhm.
You know, can't say fuck at school, you fucking fat ass.
What do you mean
Oh,
I can't
it's
say
such a.
fucking school?
What do you mean I can't say fuck at school? Yeah, it's the most
Eric
iconic.
Cartman. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Why
Do
don't you
you need
go
to go see
gargle
the
some
school
rat
counselor?
jizz?
Yeah, and he tells Mr. Garrison, "How would you like to gargle rat jizz?" Which, what did you think reading, like I felt like I kind of knew what was coming up, like, how would you like to suck my balls? And then that line came up, and yeah.
I mean, just knowing the show, like it kind of
Yeah.
threw me off. Like Garrison would be offended by that instead of like talking back. But
Well, okay, he was not he was not an open gay man at that time. I
yeah,
think still at the time. I
he
think it
still
wasn't
had
until
Mr.
season
Hat.
4 or
Yeah.
season 3. Well, even with Mr. Hat, I think he was still gay, like
Well,
openly
yeah,
gay,
he
even
was. That's
later
how he
on.
got his gay frustration out. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it
how he
was through
publicly
Mr.
did it.
Hat, but
Yeah,
like, yeah, season 2 and 3, like even whenever they've asked him that question, like, "Are you gay?" You
yeah.
know, um, in that term, which we kind of really can't use that in a phrase today. Um, like he would get so defensive, and of course they end up having an episode where they act, which again, not many shows actually did that. Um, I think no earlier in that you had Ellen, where her character came out as as a lesbian, and like the show got canceled. So that predated that. Yeah, that predated South Park. Not
I
many
didn't watch
shows
Ellen.
did.
I have no idea.
I didn't watch it either, but whenever I learned about her back history, about how she had her show, and I was like, oh yeah, she had a show called Ellen. What happened to it? Yeah, they did that episode where she did the coming out, and yeah, the families apparently hated it, and they didn't like it, so it got canceled. So again, South Park was picking up the flag, and they were like, no, we're going to carry this, and we're not going to be ashamed of it, because there's nothing to be ashamed. To it adds more diversity into the cast and makes their world more realistic. um so yeah, Mr. Garrison gets told, how would you like the gargle rat jizz, and the boys end up in the principal's office with their mothers. And it completely falls apart. Cartman is swearing. He ends up pretty much selling the boys out, and they're like, "Dude, Cartman," and it's like, "What?" It's all like, "I don't want to fucking be here no more," and which is a fucking mood, Cartman. It's a fucking mood. And this is where Sheila is kind of called to adventure comes in, the villain of the story, and she ends up enacting, after the boys left, Article 42 of the PTA code, which I have no clue if there's ever such a thing
No, I
in
think
the
that's a made
PTA
up thing
code where
because
yeah,
you can't
has to
remove a
be.
principal from the
I think
the
like
school.
you had to have a very obvious reason to remove a principal from the school, but
Yeah.
that's what Article 42 in South Park Elementary is. They have, in a sense, fired but not fired Principal Victoria, and the moment Sheila sits into the chair, it's almost like watching Star Wars, and Darth Vader's like in the chair from Empire. It's like evil, power, she's
She
obtaining
assumes
it.
power, and now she's going to
Yeah,
lead a whole
she,
crusade against Terrence and Phillip and Canadians'
pretty
dirty
much. And
humor.
I think the one thing going forward into this is they didn't really sit there and kind of really talk about why she actually hated Canada, because this does divulge into, outside of just being a Terrence and Phillip thing, to just being an anti-Canada thing.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
like she wants to protect her kids, and that's kind of what the
yeah,
message of the movie is. If you're trying to
but she over
like
exaggerates it
overprotect
to
them,
the point. So I kind of wondered if maybe there was something else maybe they could have added to it.
eh, I mean,
Other than, yeah, she's protecting her
it's
children. She's doing what any mother would want.
yes. I mean, like what all parents are trying to do is like shield their kids from dirty, bad influence before they're ready, and that's what she wanted
Believe it or
to
not, when they do
take
that
it
though,
out.
that's when we search for it the most. I mean, like, come on, we're the generation that discovered Two Girls in One Cup and all the other like stuff we were not supposed to see.
Kids, don't go Google that,
No,
please.
no, don't,
Don't.
don't. I would not, even me, a grown ass man, I would never torture myself to that. And we also grew up on Blue Waffle, which again, do not Google this. If anyone's listening, do not Google these things. These are horrible things that during elementary, well, I don't know about elementary school, but junior high and high school, this was shit you did not want to. It was more like of a dare. It's like, I dare you to watch it. And So yeah, Principal Victoria is out of office, quote unquote. Sheila is the head principal, and now the news media outlet is covering the effects of Terrence and Phillip. You see like kids about Ike's age freaking picking on the birthday clown and everything, and they're just being nasty little shits. And Sheila goes on to a quote unquote not CNN, and she ends up getting into a shouting argument with the Canadian Minister of Movies, which again, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's a made up thing, but I'm pretty sure they do have some kind of, head person over films, because, learning about Canada's censorship, it's like they'll show sex on TV, but not violence, like the gun stuff.
Yeah,
And we're the
America's
total
very
opposite.
backwards
We're the total, yeah,
to
we're
the
the
rest of the world.
opposite, um,
Like women
and
taking their clothes off and showing their titties is acceptable instead of like people getting like shot in the head and shit.
yeah,
Which honestly, like if you think about it, like that's something that's supposed to be like more gruesome to us than titties, you know? But
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, like really, all you have to do is follow for film enthusiasts. If you guys don't know David Cronenberg, all you have to do is follow his story about like his earlier films like Shivers and Videodrome with Canada, where that I think what was it? I think you actually did get prison time if you did not remove certain scenes from a movie that were deemed inappropriate for the Canadian viewers. And I guess they took that from like the Americans, where it's like, oh yeah, we'll cut up and remove the scenes, and then like those showed them the film, and then when they get ready to send it off in theater, they just put the other scenes back in there and they just ship it because the MPAA doesn't watch the movies when they release. So that's how their getaway. I'm pretty sure Canada saw a loophole, and you're like, yeah, no, you get prison time. I don't know if it's still the same law today, but back then during Cronenberg stuff in the 70s, yeah, that was, you didn't fuck around. And so yeah, it's funny how censorship works with different countries. And so yeah, Sheila gets into the fighting argument. She's calling what Terrence and Phillips stuff is smut, and it kind of ends up starting almost a bit of like an anti-Canadian thing, because it kind of starts teetering away really from Terrence and Phillip, and then it starts just teetering towards just Canadians in general. Like you should be ashamed of yourself, and it's all like, wow, like look who's like all holier than fucking thou. You're like in a little redneck mountain town. It's like, I don't think you really have much to say, Sheila. It's like you don't really have a good track record. It's all like, I think season 2 or 3 you try to give your kids chicken pox, so it's like, and then they got revenge on you by getting a hooker to rub genital warts all over your household items. And it's like, apparently I guess she didn't learn from that. So
Not remember that episode, but okay.
you don't remember that episode?
No.
It's fucking great. So this is kind of like my idea of when the call to adventure is for the boys, at least like more all in general, with Kenny, because when I just forgot her name, Sheila. When Sheila enacts her first cause, she ends up telling everyone in the school over the intercom, if you have Terrence and Phillip merchandise that you're wearing, you are to immediately go home and return to school tomorrow without it. So all the kids, are like, hell yeah, they leave. Poor Wendy and Gregory are all by themselves. God, that's so freaking lonely. But I've had lunches like that before too. And
Hey man, you're sitting next to a pretty girl. Like, yeah, that's a win.
no, I wasn't sitting next to a pretty girl. I was just all by myself.
Oh, that
I don't
is
want to talk about it. I don't want to talk
all
about
right,
it.
Okay.
And oh, the therapy I need.
Oh my God. All right, so the boys go see the movie again.
Yeah, the boys go see the fucking movies again. And after the movie, they go and they have a fucking argument. Cartman and Kenny over, setting your farts on fire. Kenny says you can. Cartman says you can't. I've already had this debate with Chris. Yes, you actually can if you have enough. I think it's like methane in your system, and you can actually do it. But it's nowhere near it's not nowhere near the amount of fucking fire that came out of Kenny's ass and set himself ablaze. Kenny, I think, ends up getting like, knocked out with like a big old pile of salt that was dumped on him. And then they had the ambulance come. And so the boys are checking in on their friend who is getting ripped to fucking shreds by the doctor.
Yeah.
Like they're pulling anything and everything. It's like seeing 3-year-olds play Operation. It's pretty much what it looked like.
Fucking
And
George Clooney was the doctor in that, right? And they
I think so. Yeah, because ER. Yeah, they were referencing ER. And he rips out the heart and walks over to the microwave, and he opens it. He's like, "Whose baked potatoes in the microwave?" And it's like, "It's mine, sir." It's like, what the fuck? Why is a microwave in a surgery room? It's like, oh my god, the ridiculousness. This
Yeah.
is like, this is part of like where I was just losing my shit. Yeah, Cartman saying the most outlandish shit, but it's some of the situation. And then Kenny wakes up after surgery, and the doctors tell him, "Hey kid, you don't have long. We accidentally replaced your heart with a baked potato, so you only have about 3 seconds to live." And Kenny's like, "What?" And then
What?
boom,
And,
it's
yeah,
fucking
his heart
baked
explodes.
potato blows up. And then freaking Kyle and him is like, "Oh my god, you killed Kenny, you bastards!"
Oh man.
and and oh my god. And
Uh,
yeah, so when Kenny dies, the McCormicks are upset. They lost their son to an act of stupidity that was meant to copy in the movie, which I've seen those signs before. Never try this at home, and I look at that as a challenge. It's like, I fucking will.
you want to put a baked
no,
potato in your chest? Okay.
no, well, no. I don't know how to do that, but like, I mean, like,
Oh, we'll
when you
figure
watch
it
anything
out.
like pro wrestling, it's like, don't try this at home, and that's how me and my brother broke my mom's fucking what was it, futon. He
Yeah.
put me right through it and busted the frame. So sorry, mom. Um, so yeah, and then Sheila goes like, she doesn't even give a moment for the parents to vent, and she starts, in musical number, she starts forming the Moms Against Canada. They don't have a name yet, but she's forming the rebellion against Canadian material, more specifically Terrence and Phillip. It, we would get Blame Canada, but this is actually a far different song in this edition. Again, this is the eighth draft, not the final. It's shocking that it took 8 drafts just to get this far, but I also can't complain because, I have to go through about almost 10 or 20 just to get something for me. And that's if I'm lucky to make it that far. Um, but yeah, so there is this whole anti-Canada uh, group being set up by Sheila. It's they have to protect their children somehow. And to them, they think this is the way to do it. And uh, after the whole musical number, which really isn't anything fancy, they do rally up quite a bit of people for this cause. It got, I think, the majority of South Park at least. And we go and we see Kenny rising up into heaven, where he sees all the big breasted angels, that every little redneck mountain town boy loves to have. And right when he's about to hit those sweet, sweet pearly gates, folks, bam, he was denied and falls straight down into hell, where he sees images, as I recite, Hitler, John Wayne Gacy, and then for some reason Jimmy Stewart and Gandhi. I
Gandhi
don't know
was
what
a
George. I
monster.
don't know what George Bailey fucking did. The kid fucking sent to hell, but I think it was just out there because like I'm like over here. I legit after reading that script, I looked up. It's like, did fucking like Jimmy Stewart did something that like is. I looked up like controversies. I didn't find anything. Uh,
Well,
so
I mean, I probably just like a dig at him, just to be funny.
yeah,
Like
and
someone who's
everything, and
so wholesome, portrayed wholesome in all the movies, is
yeah,
in
and
hell.
sold his soul to the devil just so he could be so wholesome, I guess. And then that's kind of where we drop off with Kenny for a little bit. We don't really see Kenny for quite some time, but our refusal to the call, our heroes kind of refusing it, is the boys try to go see the movie again, Asses on Fire. They are denied because the movie has been banned. And as the boys kind of walk off and they're like, well, screw this shit, let's just go to my house. So they go to the Cartman's house, and Sheila actually has the ticket booth guy be arrested by Officer Barbrady. And yeah, it's like I
I
have
miss
no problem
Barbary
over it.
so
Like,
much.
yeah, what happened to him? Did they
They
kill
just
him off?
replaced
Like,
him with the other police detective guy. That's
yeah, I was wondering when he came in, but man, it's sad that Barbrady actually had a lot of good moments,
yeah.
especially the teach Barbrady how to read episode.
Oh
I
god,
won't go into too much right there because God, that's a
such
whole
a
filth fest
classic.
right there. That's a classic. That's a
Oh,
classic. Let's just hope that you do not get that bad at I need to learn how to read to the point that someone's going around doing ungodly things to animals. Um, so they go to Cartman's house, after Barb Brady has arrested the poor ticket guy who's just doing his job. Which again, it's part of Sheila's flaw that she's just randomly targeting anything and everything that touches it, even on American soil. Is she'll target anything. So yeah, the boys are watching Conan O'Brien. I don't know what child is watching Conan O'Brien, but okay, these guys are. Um, and obviously, Terrence and Phillip are going to be on there to promote their new film, Asses on Fire. And within the interview, Conan was able to get a confession out of one of the two duos that it was their idea to set one another on fire in this fart gag, which I guess passes as a confession to a child's, uh, you know, stupid stunt for murder.
Yeah.
So like the Moms Against Canada were there in the audience, and like, they're pissed off as ever. like it's just Sheila's face. That's all I see. It's just a pissed off Sheila, and it's
Yeah.
fucking scary. And then the cops come in, all SWAT officer like, and they arrest Terrence and Phillip on the account of the death of Kenny. Pretty much they're being blamed for Kenny's death. His death, which is really like an accident and just Kenny not thinking smartly. It's pretty much it's going to be the fuel to most of Sheila's anti-Canada movements. And it's actually kind of sad because also too, not too long after this is when Kenny's parents start making money off of his death by selling merchandise. And yeah, we've seen this before plenty of times where it's been exploited. It's not gone to like a funeral or a charity or something. It's gone to personal gain. It's sad, but yeah. So Conan feels guilty after Terrence and Phillip get arrested, and they're all like, Conan, you saw our movie and you laughed with us, it's a good movie. And throughout all this guilt, I know in the movie Conan shoots himself, I think, but in the script he throws himself out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think I think they actually got Conan to come to do his own voice. Yeah, far more grisly death in the movie. And of
Just
course,
funnier.
Sheila immediately right there without a fucking heartbeat. This bitch is now blaming the death of Conan O'Brien on Terrence and Phillip. It's like
Yep.
they didn't tell him to fucking jump out the window, lady. He did that all on his own because of the guilt that you guys probably pressured his Canadian ass to fucking betray his own kin.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all shocking. The boys are fucking shocked and disturbed. Like they know obviously they have to do something. They don't know what though. So Sheila's next plan of action is to take her anti-Canadian beliefs to the United Nations, and she actually gets the nation, the UN side. Like, Canada's over here pleading their case of like, it's like you have to let go of Terrence and Phillip. That makes up for most of our revenue in Canada, which to me it's like, oh, that kind of sounds a little shitty to rely on two common deal. Like, what if they actually died without any of this? It's like that country in South Park would have been fucked, because that's just their revenue. Their revenue is Terrence and Phillip merch and content. That's how they make their money. And yeah, the rest of the world is siding with Sheila.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking horror show, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, well, people want to get jump on causes these days, and they'll, if anything makes anyone feel good on the inside, they'll jump on a cause that's clearly probably like more to it. So
Yeah,
that's
and
what happens.
yeah, it's getting worse. It hasn't gotten better, folks.
It really hasn't.
And I would like to sit to say we try not to get political on this, but God, this does get a bit political in a sense because it's South Park. Uh, and so with that said, after Sheila's meeting with the UN, there is a huge embargo. We at least sit there and see it only in the U.S., specifically in South Park, Colorado. But I'm pretty sure I think also too they got the rest of the people in the UN to hold embargoes to cripple Canada's like funds. I guess like the funds go straight into the government, so it's like the government is making money off of the film stuff. If I got that correct, which I do know that back in World War II time, there were some film studios that they would like their films would actually make the country money. Um,
Yeah.
Not going to get too deep into that because that's a whole other podcast right there. That's a history of film podcast. So yeah, Cartman and them go to the supermarket to go pick up some cheesy poofs, Cartman's favorite snack. And yeah, they learn about the embargo. It's a ban on all Canadian goods, not just Terrence and Phillip. It's everything. And so cheesy poofs are no longer the snack of South Park Elementary, but there are Cheezios, in which Cartman, livid as fuck, says "fuck you" and "fuck Cheezios," and he
Yep.
storms right off. He's not fucking having it. They go back to his home where they run into the parents, and Cartman just goes ballistic on Sheila, which, in all honesty, it's pretty much what Sheila needs. Sheila needs a lot of people on her ass for the shit that she pulls. Even if she means it for the betterment of people, it's how she goes by it. And it's, yeah.
Yeah, she
What do you
uses
think,
it as
Chris?
another excuse to uh, put more support behind her movement here, and decides that she's going to make a little rehab center to re-educate all the young boys about how bad Canadian influence is over them, and hopefully get them back on the straight and narrow path.
Exactly. But right before the rehab, because obviously this is when she's thinking about it, but we do pick up on Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
He's arrived finally in hell, and Satan is there. And Satan is like he's like bringing in the welcome mat. It's like, I am the Lord of Darkness. He's giving out all of the alternate names, the taglines. He's selling himself hard. He's selling himself harder than The Rock sells himself in a movie and in the wrestling ring. And just when you think it can't get any worse, oh my God, Kenny and Satan. Then all of a sudden, out of the woodworks comes Saddam Hussein.
Hey, Satan, what's up, man? You wanna come play with my dildo here? Yay! Let's go. Fuck you in the ass.
So yeah, Saddam's in hell, which I think this is obviously quite a few years before Saddam died. So
Yeah, this is way before the war in Iraq. And
yeah,
before
so
he's
I'm
founded his
kind of
own
wondering.
name.
I definitely need to look up after this recording. I need to look up just like, what was his thoughts. It's like Saddam's in hell. Like, did he watch the movie? Did anyone watch it and tell him, hey, like, I didn't know you were in a romantic
I'm
relationship with Satan?
sure this was not screened at all anywhere near Iraq.
No, but
This
I'm pretty
is
sure someone would get a copy somewhere.
if they did, they were probably killed immediately. Just like in North
Probably.
Korea, whenever they did the Team
The
America World
interview.
Police, or
Oh yeah,
the
that one.
yeah, it's like
That one,
anything
was it
that
the interview?
badmouths Kim Jong Un, like they would be killed immediately.
Yeah. But
Uh,
wasn't the interview, didn't they do the same shit too? Like, I
yeah,
remember
they
like even hearing on the news that like the son was like completely upset about this and like would threaten, I think, nuclear war or just war in general.
yeah, he
It's
lost
like
his
over
shit.
a fucking movie.
Yeah,
And so like, and I remember the memes afterwards. It's like, I was like, dude, when would you sit there and think that these guys from Freaks and Geeks would fucking cause World War III? It's like over a fucking movie.
yeah.
And I give props to Randall Park. Randall Park did an outstanding job, like as a Kim Jong. Is it Un?
It's yeah, I think Un Kim Jong Un.
Un, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
oh my God, how do we reel back from that one? So yeah, so now we're meeting. I would sit there and look at this as more of the meeting the mentor, because Mr. Mackey, does believe that you can, uh, I guess, go like you can use like the frustration that you have in a much more creative way, and I guess that's how he sees the rehab center. Is I'm going to help these children settle, which probably really to him he probably thinks is an anger issue. Obviously, it's Cartman. Cartman has a fucking anger issue. He always had. Um, and he's going to help these kids. Yeah, he's going to try to scrub off the influence of the movie. I don't think he looks at it as the Canadian influence, but it's just the influence of the movie itself, and show that you don't really need to use these kind of words. There are different alternatives, and this is where it's easy. Okay, like it's supposed to come out. I promise I'll never sing another song on this fucking episode again. uh Obviously in the script you don't really get that. You kind of get a little bit of it. It's like a very very rough draft of it. um but yeah, most of the musicals in here are all rough drafts for folks. So if you're reading this and it's like, well, this doesn't match up to the movie, it's like, yeah, it's because this is nowhere near. I'm pretty sure they worked on the musicals last.
Yeah,
Uh, so Mr. Mackey is actually
sounds like
able
they
to
did.
connect with the students, and he's all like, I can connect with them, I can be open, uh, and they're like on the floor, they're laughing, they're having a good time. It really kind of sit there. It seems like he's really connecting with the kids, which really Mr. Mackey doesn't, because they always make fun of his big ass head, or they make fun of the way he talks, like okay, and
Okay, okay.
okay, okay. All I can think of is fucking Stan. It's like, God, you little fucking shit. It's like, I've
Yeah,
had kids like that in high school make fun of the damn teacher, and it's like, God, you suck. You're
it's
fucking funny,
hilarious.
but you suck. And Sheila is watching all of this through a security monitor and comes right in and jumps Mackey's fucking ass, you know. And she's all like, "You're not supposed to be rolling on the ground and laughing. Like, you're supposed to be rehabbing these kids." So it almost like there seems like really she doesn't want fun to begin with,
Yeah,
you
no, she
know,
has a
like,
gigantic stick up her ass.
yeah. And she doesn't want fun. She doesn't want kids to swear. And it's like, what the fuck do you want these guys to do? Have fun and not swear? That's part of being a kid. Well, at least my generation it was. I don't know about the ones before. I'm pretty sure it was the same damn thing too. You sat there, said shit and damn, and you were in your treehouse, reading, the porno mags that you probably stole from your brother's bed, and you smoked cigarettes. At least that's the '70s from Stephen King, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
The
not
'60s, the
exactly, but
'70s.
sure.
That's what Stand By Me taught me, damn it. And I don't think Stephen King is wrong.
Um,
And yeah, so she's pretty much jumping Mackey's ass and said, we need to get these kids rehabilitated as quickly as possible, because these kids are going to be used as evidence in the court case of the influence of the film, and then what the rehab center did to fix them. Which to me, it's like, okay, you're not even looking at these kids as kids anymore. Now you're just looking at them as evidence. You're
yeah,
looking at them as more objective. You don't want them to have fun. You don't want, like, God, like, does she even want them to breathe? We'll find out later on in the film.
she's just a
But
control freak. But
yeah,
we,
she is a deep, and it kind of makes you wonder, what the fuck did Kyle's dad find anything in him? Like,
like,
I guess she must not have been that bad back then, but maybe having kids is kind of like what made her a more stricter individual. Uh,
uh,
because I forgot what she does for a job. I don't think, is she a
she's just
politician?
I think she's just a stay-at-home mom.
Is she?
I think so. I know her. I know Kyle's dad's a lawyer, but I don't
Yeah,
know what
Kyle's dad's
he
a
does.
lawyer.
Yeah.
I know she's not the mayor, because the mayor of South Park. I don't know if she's even the mayor of South Park anymore. It's been a
Yeah.
while, so they took out certain. Principal Victoria's not there anymore, and you got PC Principal. Which,
Yeah.
oh my god, that's a hit and a miss. That's a hit and miss for me, folks. Um, so yeah, during the Supreme Court case, Sheila and Terrence and Philip are freaking arguing in court. It seems like that's what this woman loves to do, is argue and fucking fight in court over the subject of censorship. The boys are watching the court case from the rehab center, uh, and all of a sudden the line is cut when Philip is about to unveil some shit that the American government and the media does not want you to know. And bam, they lose the feed right to the Supreme Court. And the boys are all shocked, like, oh my god, what's going on? And Wendy's over there, it's all like, isn't it funny that they just lost signal? And I think this is also kind of part of, it's interweaving Stan and Wendy's story, the B plot in with the main plot, very well. Of, Wendy, obviously Wendy wants someone that has other interests outside of this, but also just has a passion. And she's over here, she's like, Philip was about to say something that apparently the Americans weren't supposed to know, and so we lost feed automatically. It's like, don't you find that strange that we lost feed that quick? And of course, Stan doesn't really pick up on this. Stan's not a bright boy. He's not even in the TV show. He's not dumb, but he's not bright neither. He's just kind of like your average kid.
He's
He's
basic.
not really quite picking up. Huh?
He's a basic kid.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was about to say, don't follow the word that I thought you were going to say after basic. It's like, don't. He's a kid, damn it.
Oh.
You
No.
know what I'm saying. So whenever they get the feedback, apparently Canada has a hostage negotiation that they want to do, and they have kidnapped apparently what they think is America's treasure, the Smothers Brothers. And I'm like, wait, what? It's like, I don't think these guys have been relevant since the 70s or 80s. They're right around that day. I was like, what the fuck, Canada? Like, God, you're so far behind. And it's like, I'm pretty sure America would be like, we care less about them. And if it was Madonna or Kurt Cobain, then speak differently. Um, but yeah, so Canada is trying to sit there and have level ground, but they know that Sheila and the American government are not backing down. So when Mackie continues the rehab lessons, they do discuss the MPAA and censorship between him and Wendy. He threatens to keep Wendy in the program if she doesn't shut up, which already, like, Mr. Mackey's kind of a bit of a nice guy, but also too, he's kind of really digging into Sheila's ideals, and it's kind of sad that
He
it's like
wants
he
to
was
keep
such
his
an
job.
easygoing guy, yeah, to keep his job, and he's having to act this way, and you kind of feel a little disheartened, no lie, and but the rest of the class, Wendy included, they all graduated the rehab facility. They could leave, all except for Cartman, and like even Cartman like pokes fun at fucking Gregory, who is British, and yet he's like I fucking hate French people, and it's like he's not fucking French, he's British, and he's like I don't give a fuck, and like it just goes to sit there show for when everyone knows Cartman's intolerant. He's intolerant as hell, and he's not changing whatsoever. It's not helping that he's going through cheesy poof withdrawal, so that's what's really making him even worse to deal with.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard of anyone that's ever had a withdrawal of a fucking food.
he's a
I've had
fad.
coffee withdrawals, but I've never got that damn bad to the point that I'm making fun
It's
of
all
another
that
country.
sugar and the glucose exiting his system.
Yeah, I guess. And so uh, when Sheila comes in, Mr. Mackey says everyone's doing fine except for Cartman. It's like Cartman won't change. And so Sheila says, well, then I guess we need to sit there and implement him into the V chip uh, protocol. And obviously, Mackie still trying to keep his job. He's like, I don't think that's necessary. And Sheila's all she's like, I don't care what you think is necessary. He won't conform to the rehab center, in its teachings. So obviously, the chip is going to be needed. And it's like, I don't know why, but every time when Sheila does something that just it's like I know she's gonna do something stupid. She's gonna do something outrageous, and it still blows my fucking mind. All I can think of is that Key and Peele sketch where they're talking about their wives and they're going, "Bitch," because like that's how it feels. I was like, "Man, bitch!" Like, so are crossing the threshold. We're resuming the Supreme Court case trial, United States versus Terrence and Phillip. They are found guilty, and they are getting the death penalty for their crimes. Everyone, even Wendy and Gregory, are fucking stunned. And they make reference to this to 1984 and Fahrenheit 451, in which, again, this goes over Stan and Kyle's head. They're like, what? And it's like, oh my fucking God. I was like, but then again, I don't even remember in elementary school even making references to that. You know, we read like a paragraph or two in junior high, and then we never touched the books in high school. Kind of wonder what the government's telling us. But
More
I
censorship.
digress. Right. Gregory loses Kyle and Stan in the comparison when he just tells Stan he just doesn't get it. And that's kind of been the thing she keeps telling him in the story. He just doesn't get it. And it really just kind of kicks Stan in the nads. You feel bad for him because I think he's trying to get it, but he's not getting it. And, you know, I think Wendy does want him to get it, but I don't even think Wendy gets it either. What do you
Yeah,
think, Chris?
I mean, like Wendy always strikes me as the person that's like ready to go for a cause but doesn't fully understand the cause, which is kind of like really basic for a lot of people these days. Like they'll jump on something and like they won't fully understand the nuances of a situation. So Wendy
Yeah.
is kind of like the perfect like character for that, and
But
kind
she's
of
not nearly as dramatic as say Sheila
yeah, yeah.
and everything. And
But like
God, I Well, they already
So
did an episode where they were an adult, so she didn't turn out nearly as bad as Sheila. So,
yeah,
but yeah. So obviously they know there's something they got to do. Like really, they're already on the adventure. They've been through the whole rehab center already to deal with this, but they definitely do know we have to save Terrence and Philip. Like uh, we cannot let our favorite comedic duo die because of just over the content that they do. But also too, Wendy and Gregory kind of do it behind the principles of we cannot have just because one country does not agree with another country's ideals of comedy. We cannot just sit there and let one country just kill the other, kill citizens of another one to try to, I guess, swing home a point of we don't believe in this. It's like, okay, well then, yeah, you could have just done the embargo and that's it. You could have just left it there.
yeah.
But
They
it's Sheila. Sheila's got to take it one fucking step, you know. Uh, and I know I had it in my old notes because in this one I call her a mega Karen. It's like, no, I do believe that there are levels, that there is a Karen and then there is a Sheila. Don't be a Karen, but God Almighty, do not be a Sheila Broflovsky.
don't evolve into Sheila.
Yeah, it's like a Pokemon thing, you add add enough energy cards and bam. I don't know if that how the card game goes, but yeah, she evolves from Karen to Sheila. So yeah, wrapping up the rehab center, all the kids are graduated. The seeds of La Resistance are here because there's the Save Terrence and Philip pins. This is actually at school now. Even though I do think the rehab center was technically at school, I think it was like in the gym uh, or something like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, like they're over here wearing pins to promote Terrence and Phillip. Like we have to do something about these guys. It's not fair that just because one person doesn't like their comedy, we're repeating ourselves here. So they actually have, I don't think it's soldiers yet, but they do have policemen coming in and they're removing, pins and everything. And Kyle gets a gold star because I think his mother, I
yep.
guess, saw his like fucking test results. He's like, you did good. Here's a gold star. And it's all like, what the fuck? You know,
If
it's like
anyone
having
doesn't
cops.
understand that reference, it's World War II. The Nazis would put stars on the Jews to mark them, so they would know
Oh
who
my
who won.
god! Oh my god! How did I just click to that one? Oh
Uh,
my god!
that
Oh,
it's a Holocaust joke that they put in the
oh
movie
my
there.
god! Thank you, Chris, for pointing that out. That
Arm
went so
David,
over my
like,
fucking head. Oh my
uh,
god, that is fucking horrible, folks. But then
but
again, this
also
is
hilarious because
this, this
this movie
is
makes a
Matt
lot
Stone
of
and Trey
direct
Parker.
comparisons to
Yes,
Nazism and like
I,
people
I, I do.
who
So then this has to be the first. This has to be the first direct result of the Holocaust and the Nazism uh, that Sheila is obviously kind of portraying. Then this is the first reference. Then I thought it was way later on, like when obviously they brought in the soldiers. It's like, oh wow, this kind of starting to become a little bit like Nazi Germany.
yeah.
Uh, man,
But yeah, it's this movie makes a good point of showing anyone could go down that path, even if you think you're on the right path. You can definitely become a Nazi if you aren't careful.
I think I need a fucking drink. I just was not prepared for yes, I know about that, but
Yeah.
it didn't click to me right fucking way. When you said that, I was like, oh shit. Oh man.
It's not a thing I think is
This is
taught a
water,
lot
not
these
vodka, folks,
days.
but I wish there was vodka.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are folks, for those of you guys that may be squeamish, there are direct references to a lot of the Nazi ideology in World War II with what Sheila does in this movement. And
Yeah.
so again, Chris, we're gonna have to sit there. We're gonna have to throw up a disclaimer at the beginning of this for sure, just to make sure to let people know.
Just
There
because we're
are
mentioning it does not mean we're in support of it.
no, but it does help to mention. So
Yeah.
you kind of got to give them a heads up. These people could be on their morning commute drinking their coffee, and then bam, they just got hit with the freaking star, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow. And yeah, so I feel dumb enough that I'm surprised. Like I know that happened, but it didn't click to me in the script.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Chris, I think you may have to take over for a little bit because my fucking heart and everything is fucking
Are you
hurting.
gonna be okay, buddy?
It just knocked the wind out of me. It knocked
Oh
the
my
wind, but
gosh.
you're at the carry for a little bit.
Okay, so wrapping up at the rehab center, Mr. Macri he graduates all the kids except for Cartman, and so in order to like make sure Cartman finally gets in with the program, they get him into phase two of installing the V chip into him, so they can zap him anytime he swears or even thinks about swearing in saying any bad languages or any bad words. But we also take a little detour to hell. Kenny is making a deal with Saddam Hussein for getting out of hell, and Satan in his relationship with Saddam is elaborated. They're sex partners, and Saddam's trying to
Very,
take
very
over
toxic sex
hell.
partners.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein is the evil, abusive one in the relationship, and Kenny feels bad for Satan. But yeah, Carmen gets displayed off with the V chip and seeing how it works, and he's shocked in a town hall meeting. Uh, oh no, sorry. Back at the town hall meeting, Kenny's mom is seeing the scene once more, selling merchandise of her dead son for profit. Honestly, they're poor as shit, so like I kind of like
This is probably
don't.
the biggest paycheck they've ever fucking made.
Yeah, I don't see. I
Because
don't
they
blame
started
them
at the
trying to get
Supreme
some money
Court.
off of this.
They were outside the Supreme Court with fucking tables lined up with
Yeah.
Kenny merchandise, and and the ironic thing is like Kenny's like it's supposed to be seen as he's up in heaven, and the whole fucking time he's in hell. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh man,
He didn't go to
uh,
church, so he went straight to hell. So that's
exactly. And it was at this town hall that one member of South Park actually did notice that I think his mom got like a shiny watch or something, like a really expensive watch or like a ring. And it's like, oh, it's like, where did you get that? And like, yeah, it's kind of more of a sign of like they're not really putting this money towards Kenny's funeral. They're fucking
yeah,
spending the money on themselves for their own personal, material thoughts. And it's like, oh my god, poor Kenny. Kenny deserves better.
it's okay. He'll be resurrected eventually.
Mysterion confirmed
Yep.
for like 10 seasons later.
So now we move on to the tests, allies, and enemies. We're at the midpoint. Uh, at South Park Elementary, Wendy pays no mind to Stan while she's eating, and he's eating. Kyle and Stan and see Carmen acting weird, and he found out he was chipped, so he can't swear out anymore. And while they're attending Mr. Garrison's class, soldiers infiltrate to remove all Terrence and Philip pins. When he calls them Nazis as they leave, uh, the kids meet with their friend Chef, refusing today's lunch as they go on a hunger strike. Uh,
It's Salisbury Steak Day, children.
yeah, Stan asks Chef if he understands women and how to make them happy. And of course, we all know Chef makes women happy all the time. I make love to women. But yeah, you just gotta find the clitoris. uh, he realizes, oh, this is a conversation not suitable for kids, and he tries to quickly move on.
Which obviously, if you folks watch South Park a lot, there's a lot of conversations where they ask him, and he always downs it back to having sex with women. And
Yeah,
he's all like, "God damn it, I can't talk to you children about this shit. You guys aren't of age." And
he's the mentor in the pretty much in the whole first 10 seasons
Stan,
of the show before the
yeah,
actor
but
leaves.
like in this story, where meeting the mentor should have been earlier. To me, this is like the mentor for Stan.
Yeah.
You got to find the clitoris, and it's like, what? Never mind. Move on, children.
Uh, Principal Victoria makes an announcement that for a mandatory school meeting being held at the gym, they all arrive to the gym, and the faculty learn that America is going to war against Canada, and it's World War III, folks. And all the Canadian citizens in the U.S. are to leave immediately, or else in being forced to into camps. Oh my god, that is so Japanese World War II shit right there.
Yeah, because I was about
Oh
to
my god,
say, I think they did that to the Japanese Americans,
they did.
and uh, And George Takei, was one of them, which is very shocking. And
Yeah, that's what you get when
it's
you
what
let the
happens when you
government
get
make
Sheila in the
decisions.
fucking office. Like Sheila's like over here, just fucking everything else up for all the countries in the world.
Yeah.
Uh, and they're like, what is it? She's with President Clinton, which of all fucking presidents, I don't think she would ever want to be fucking 10 feet within reach of this
You mean
guy.
because of his sexual history of boning women in the Oval Office, or?
In the oral office, you mean? Yeah. So, an America's favorite pastime, swallow the leader.
But everything starting to resemble World War II as we go into the War with Canada. And Sheila's on TV making airstrikes into Canada's military and entertainment centers. Clinton is against this at first until Sheila guilt trips him into following her orders. She should wear a blue dress. I wish she did. She wear a blue dress in the film?
I don't think she did. I'm gonna have to go back and actually watch the film to see if they did that.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, that would be
um,
awesome.
the woman's name is freaking drawing a blank to me, but
Monica Lewinsky.
Lewinsky. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lewinsky. There you go, Monica,
yeah.
and everything. But
Sheila is clearly in charge now, and we go to hell. Kenny is still looking for his 10 proof purchase of snacky s'mores, and comes across Satan and Saddam. Saddam is in power of the relationship and making Satan feel like a victim in his own hell. Satan reveals that the death of Terrence and Philip will break the final seal and start the apocalypse. All this will end the world talk gets Satan hot and Saddam hot and horny and wanting to have
oh
sex with
yeah,
his
I love
neighbor.
it when you talk about the end of the world, baby. Yeah, and like he's like over here rubbing a nipple, and it's like, what the hell?
Satan is the female in the relationship. I feel like all you think about is sex.
Exactly, and it's like, oh my god. But you know, there are men out there too, Chris. We've been through there.
I mean,
All you think about is sex, and it's like, well, what do you want? A cupcake? It's like I could start with that first, and
while Stan and Kyle read up on what the clitoris is, they stumble upon a book burning that is led by Mac, Mothers Against Canada. The turn of events turns up to 11 when Kyle finds his brother Ike being bullied by fifth graders for being Canadian. Kyle stands up for his baby brother and is warned to get Ike out of America if he knows what's good for him. Yeah, so that's
like,
fun.
okay, I do got to sit there and say, previously with the TV show, they always made Ike the gag. Kick the baby, don't kick the baby, kick the baby.
Yeah,
You've always had these, and they've even had episodes where um, Kyle didn't want to be the big brother to Ike anymore, and it's broken your heart. But I feel like this movie right here is like what really made fans love Ike and feel for him so badly because of what he's just a baby. He's just a baby who looks up to his big brother, and yeah, he's getting shit on in this fucking movie so fucking bad. And it's like, man, Ike deserves better. He does not deserve Sheila as a fucking mother. That's for one.
yeah.
Um, and
It's weird just that she was like wanting to adopt
anti-Canadian.
anybody.
It's that she's anti-Canadian, and like it's at least in this story, and she's like, but like, look at your child, your adopted child, your youngest is Canadian, and it's almost like she's so tunnel vision, she completely forgets about poor Ike, which really that's kind of pretty much what Ike was in the first couple of seasons stuff, where he was an afterthought. Oh, take care of your brother, Kyle, and it's like, I don't wanna, and it's like, take care of your brother, Kyle. It's like, fine, and it very much felt like Ike was very much pushed off, and probably Ike was probably adopted probably through some way to make them look good, that, oh, we adopted someone from, I guess, I don't know what she would probably think is a third world country or something like that. Like Sheila did it more for the sympathy of like, like not sympathy, the attention. She did for the attention. That's what at least it seems like.
Yeah.
And this right here, it just makes it feel so bad that a mother like that could sit there and do shit. But we've heard far worse, and it's heartbreaking. It's fucking heartbreaking. He deserves better.
definitely. The ignorance surrounding the small town leads Kyle into a musical number, and it's Kyle's call to adventure is to rally in support against Mac and the anti-Canadian hatred. The musical leads up to Kyle's house, where they hack into the Canadian server and ask for help for forming La Resistance.
But before that, they did sit there and look up, I think, the clitoris online, and they found a picture of
Yeah.
Cartman's mom giving a horse a blowjob.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
They're like, "What? You son of a bitch!" And then bam,
Oh,
he's freaking
fucking horse.
electrified.
Little bestiality. Man, they really like lightened up on making Cartman's mom like sound like a total whore in the later seasons, but man, like I
In
miss
the early ones, she fucked anything with a dick and could walk.
yeah. It was such a great gag, but like they made her more responsible and more motherly in the later seasons. I
Yeah,
kind of
well, I
wish
kind of
they
like
didn't.
that because it's she's like, I think really she's the only single mother of the boys.
Yeah.
I think at one point though in South Park when Randy was all about his integrity weed, I think him and Sharon do get a divorce, and though of course to me I think that's like this is like the worst part of like um Randy Marsh's like character. I hate when he started doing the whole integrity weed thing. I was like, man, dude, it's like, what the fuck happened to being a geologist? You were probably making more money as a geologist than you were fucking selling weed. But
Yeah. There's a lot of
uh,
changes I wish they didn't make, but
yeah, there are definitely some characters that they watered down, but I actually do feel like Cartman's mom. They finally did her justice. She ends up doing what was it, fulfilling Cartman's dream about owning a diner, and so she actually became a very responsible businesswoman. Uh, and
wait, what?
yeah, in the recent seasons,
No,
I was
no, no.
watch.
She didn't own. She didn't become a diner. They lost the house, and the diner is all they could afford. They
Yeah, but
don't.
I thought like
They don't
they
have a
owned the diner,
business
right?
at the diner. No, it's
Oh,
they
oh,
just
so
bought
she
a
just
hot
works
dog.
there?
No, that's their house. They don't have. They're not operating a business out of there. I
Oh
don't
shit.
think.
Okay, well then never
Yeah,
mind.
because
This kind
Cartman
of this
he
defeats
didn't want her
my build.
working, so he becomes a realtor and like screws up the whole realty situation in South Park, and she loses her job, and they lose the house, so she only can move into that the
Yeah.
hot dog diner.
Oh my god. All right. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe her character did still get shit on just a little bit. I must have remembered that episode totally differently. But yeah, yeah, the boys sit there and see Carmen's mom swallow a horse, and oh my god, I don't know how to continue. I'm going to
uh,
continue.
so
uh,
the approach. Kenny's spirits visits Cartman at night to try to warn him of the coming apocalypse. But Cartman is too frightened, thinking Kenny's coming back for revenge over the whole bet earlier in the story.
I'm sorry, Kenny.
You killed me, and you're gonna die for it, you fat boy. Back in hell,
That's
Kenny checks in
so
on Satan
cruel.
and Saddam. Satan tries to scare Kenny, but Saddam's impressive personality breaks Satan down, yet leading to another musical number where we get an insight that Satan isn't really that evil and just wants to live on Earth because hell has just become a personal hell for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wants to be up there where all the dreams come true, and he knows he's not allowed back in heaven. So it's like, why not Earth? And which you kind of felt bad for him that, yeah, like when the apocalypse finally came, and like he's there, he's like, oh, I'm finally up here now. It's like I can actually live out my dreams. You know, and yeah, it doesn't last long. It's probably the only movie where you feel for the devil, and it's only because Saddam Hussein's in hell and is fucking messing with Satan.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I can't think of any other content out there that has this um,
Not
as
to
a
this degree.
yeah, not to this degree. Like there may be some that tried to like swing on that, like, oh, we can kind of sympathize, but no, this is full sympathizing. Like the devil's not the worst person in hell; it's Saddam, and
Yeah. So we move on to the Le Resistance.
Les Resistance.
Finally arriving with Stan, Kyle, and Cartman arriving early, and Wendy and Gregory soon following with the group of children to join them. Wendy's super shocked to see Stan leading the La Resistance because she didn't think Stan had anything to fight for in this, and didn't think he was capable of fighting for something. But
Yeah.
she's starting to fall back in for Stan, while Stan can't seem to rally the kids to their cause. Gregory takes up the mantle of leadership and leads the meeting with a plan to save Terrence and Philip from execution at the USO show. To prove to
Yeah.
his love to Wendy, Stan volunteers for the job, with Kyle and Carmen joining in.
I actually really like the scene for Stan because it's like it feels like the moment that he's trying to take command and try to win back Wendy by doing all of this, he
Yeah.
kind of fumbles, and then Gregory tried to sit there, seem to take the ball out of his hand, and then Stan quite literally snatched back. He's like, "No, I'm going to volunteer for it." You know, Gregory really. This is probably as much as Gregory's done is just rally the people. He's more of a talker than he is a doer. And Stan's like, well, fuck this shit. Like, I'll go freaking do it, and
He's got more
you give a
leadership
lot of,
qualities, but like Stan is
yeah.
also the one who took the initiative to form the group, which is
Well,
probably
I,
more
I, I
attractive to
think it's
Wendy.
more Kyle. Kyle took the initiative, but Stan also believes firmly with Kyle. It's like, yeah, something has to be done, and it
Yeah.
kind of almost feels like they're sharing that torch. But obviously, Kyle has his own story, and then Stan has his own story in this, so they kind of almost share the same, you know, uh, they kind of share the same goal in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the men of South Park are drafted into the America's Army as their only line of defense. I think I remember in the script like it starts off like after the Canadians like they execute some Americans, right? Like the American Canadians, and then
Okay.
like they
So
start bombing.
you did miss a part whenever they went back to President Clinton, and it was when Sheila is pretty much in the war room, and
Yeah.
she tells Clinton and everything to like don't forget my lunch or whatever. And I think it was like right when Clinton pretty much got the information that Ohio has been freaking bombed,
Oh yeah, yeah,
or Cleveland, and like people are all like, "Yeah, who's gonna miss it?" It's like,
yeah.
oh my god. But yeah, leading up is to like another bombing in which the Canadians bomb. I think it was Iowa or Idaho, and then
Yeah.
like the government's like, well, how can you tell? And that's like, man, it was like it goes to show you that the U.S. government is like savage against the own American people. It's like, how do you know it's not already bombed to begin with? And it was like, it's like, man, like there's a lot of good roasts that when they have those war room scenes, it's like, man, uh,
Yeah.
oh my god, you gotta love the writers. The writers actually did their best in this. This is some of the best shit ever.
Oh but yeah, the men of South Park are drafted. General Plimpkin, a racist U.S. Army general, gives the orders to his men and how they will operate both the squads, the human shields, and hide behind the black people. Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's pretty
no,
hilarious.
definitely,
Chef's like, what the
definitely did
hell?
not age well. Definitely did not age well.
I mean, that's.
But
I
Chef
feel
ain't
like
dumb
that's a
neither.
lot of how the armies go these days. Maybe during the Civil War
No
too. I
comment.
don't
No
know.
comment.
I don't know.
We're
But
trying to keep it as not as political as the script is.
yeah.
So
But had to throw a few racist jokes in there, I guess, just for shock and awe sake, you know. Gregory goes over the plan once more with the boys before the meeting, and they meet the mole, who is to help them with the get into the camp and save Terrence and Philip.
that is one fucked up kid.
Yeah,
That's legit the line Kyle delivers with this guy.
he's
You
just
know,
the
uh,
French Revolutionary kid that uh, is just like
yeah,
smoking cigarettes and this is like fuck you, Mazer. You know?
pretty much. And he's like, "Oh, is this what you want? Sucking on the teeth of capitalism?" And it's like, and he would like make these as bad as I am on trailing off and detouring and like a side quest. That's what I
Yeah,
call them. Not side stories or side quests because that's a whole fucking another story. Um, this guy is like worse, and it's just so like not grotesque but grim. And it's like, yeah, even Kyle's like, dude, that kid's fucked up. Like it's, you know, but you feel bad for him. It's like he's like, yes, I'll do it for the cause. Like, what
Yeah.
else? Like, I'll do anything to fight the American government. And it's like, you're an American pretending to be a French guy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the
Pretty-
the logic, South Park logic.
Yeah. So we enter a montage where Gregory breaks into song to hype up the boys. Mac prepares the electric chairs of the USO show. Satan sings off his veranda. The military prepares for their battle against Canada, while Terrence and Philip sing Uncle Fucker as they wait for their execution.
That's how I want to go on my deathbed, singing Uncle Fucker.
That's going to be your last words.
Yeah.
You sing Uncle Fucker while you get your last meal.
I'm gonna have it on my tombstone.
Yeah. James,
I'll
we
make
can't afford that much stuff on letters on the tombstone there, man.
There's a backside. That's why it's bare. Just carve on that.
No. So we end the montage where we pick up with Ike in the family attic, alone and afraid. The streets are lined with soldiers, and Ike is writing in his diary, mimicking the diary of Anne Frank. If no one knows who that is, go Google Anne Frank and grab her diary from Barnes and Noble or Half Price Books.
Can you actually buy that at Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'd be surprised if you can, man. Like,
huh? I was up there the other day, so it was like,
it's probably in the
I'm gonna
history section.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Anytime it cuts back to poor Ike, it's like you just feel for the little guy.
Yeah,
it's like the one movie where you don't want to sit there and say kick the baby, because you just. It's like, no, you're going through enough shit. You know what? You need a fucking hug. You need a fucking hug and like some therapy. Because the shit that you are going through is going to haunt your ass for quite a while. But yeah, so the ordeal, we're going back into hell. We're pretty much going to frequently be going back to hell quite a bit at the ordeal because, again, we're getting ready for the demons and the fiends of hell to rise up with Satan and maybe Saddam and Kenny. And like, this is like the ordeal. And usually I know most people like this wouldn't be the ordeal. This would be kind of like your resurrection. It's like the huge face off, but like, no, there's still a whole lot to go through. But yeah, Satan awaits the death of Terrence and Phillips. And Satan's starting to get like, he's starting to, not put up with no more Saddam shit. And he's trying to stand for himself. But even Saddam sat there said, well, what the fuck are you going to do about it? Where are you going to go? And it's like, man, it's like anytime Satan gets an edge, fucking makes him his bitch.
Yep.
And it's depressing. I will say that it's fucking depressing.
If anyone is in an abusive relationship like Satan was,
yeah. And then we come back to the boys that are infiltrating the camp, and Cartman's put on guard duty. He has to turn off the lights when the mole reaches the holding camp area to get Terrence and Phillip. And already the mole fucks up by bringing back the ticket guy. He's like, is this Terrence and Phillip? It's like, dude, you must not fucking watch Terrence and Phillip to like not know. Obviously, you're looking for two people. This is one motherfucker. He pulled out the ticket guy, and the ticket guy's like, oh, thank God, save me. It's all like, they're going to sit there and execute me. And then Kyle's like, no, that's not him. Put him back. And like, they fucking gag him and like, no. And it's like, oh my God. I know we skipped over quite a bit in the script, but I really do want you guys to read this script because, again, if you just need a laugh and like a moment of just caring for, something, like this is the best script. Like, I think this script got me out of my depression wave. I was going through a really, really bad one, and I read this script, and I was like, holy fucking hell. It got a good laugh, but I also got a little bit of a really good cry in it because it's like, man. So yeah, the ticket booth guy goes back to the fucking holding cell. Back in hell, Satan is rallying up his demons. And when one of them's about to wake up Saddam, he's like, no, I'll take care of him. And it's like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, I'll wake him up right before we go. So now Kenny is trying once more to make contact with Cartman. And he ends up actually scaring Cartman away from the lights, which will doom the gang here in a little bit. Because Kenny's trying to sit there and tell him, hey, there's this apocalypse coming. You guys need to, like, fucking save Terrence and Phillip. You can't let them die, because the moment that the blood of a Canadian touches American soil, bam, the seal's broken. They don't really have to be dead, but it's
Yeah.
just the fact that blood has to touch it. And I think, what was it, like, I think Jerry Springer had to have like a box office movie. It was like the most outrageous seals. Um, that the writers wrote. Cartman runs off and everything, and
Yeah.
then the U.S. soldiers break into the Broflovsky residence. They find Ike in the attic, and they take him prisoner. And whenever they look at the diary, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" It's like, I don't know. I think he's like an anarchist or whatever. And it's just like it's scribbles, so everything of what you think is he's writing his thoughts down. No, it's just like little scribbles, and it's like, oh my god! It's like, how ignorant can these guys be? But it's, I digress. And yeah, so since Cartman abandoned his post and the mole found Terrence and Phillip, the U.S. Army did find him, and they shoot the poor fucker up. But he was able to crawl back and, you know, spend his last dying moments in Kyle's arms, singing the La Resistance song as his final thing. And then, bam, the fucking military catches him. Stan was able to escape, but Kyle and Cartman are caught. And, you know, of course, Cartman's like, ah, fuck. And, you know, Stan's able to make a break for it. You know, he thought he could do it, but he can't. Uh, and so we end up moving to the reward, which, again, it's like, it's gotta be like the best reward in any movie. Stan's wandering through the wilderness. He's scared and he's tired, and he comes up against something that's huge and throbbing. I wonder what it could be. Uh, so just before Sheila gets ready to you know, pull the switch on Terrence and Phillip and have them light up at the USO show, Cartman, Kyle, and Ike are brought to him by the racist general, and this is where her morals and her stance is really challenged. It's because, you know, the general's all like, these are the Canadian sympathizers. It's all like, you know, we have to execute them with Terrence and Phillip to show a sign that we will not be dealing with this. And Sheila's like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to kill my own kid. And you're like, oh my god, please tell me this is gonna be a moment that Sheila realizes I can't fucking kill my own kid or kids. But no, her dumbass is like, no. It's all like, if I gotta sit there and protect my kids from the smut of the world, then perhaps the only way to save them is to kill them.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You know, what the
That's
fuck?
what radicalism
I
will do to
apologize for the viewers' ears, but what the fuck?
you.
She won't stand down from her convictions, even with her children in danger. Like, after this movie, she should have lost all freaking rights to them. Worst mother in the world, and I thought Darth Vader was the most horrible father. Sheila and him could probably get together, and oh god, man, that'll be a fucking nightmare of a child. Um, but even though, like, we got some redemption with Vader, still Vader tortured his fucking daughter like twice, and his son-in-law once, and then tortured his son quite a few times. Um, but yeah, so Sheila has Cartman, Ike, and Kyle strapped in next to, which obviously they just so happen to have extra electric chairs. You know, a
Yeah.
little sketchy. And you know, we cut away before, you know, because obviously Kyle is fucking pissed. It's like, you bitch, don't you use that language with me. It's like he's about to get electrocuted. I think he can say whatever the hell he wants. It's like the boy has earned it. It says not his last supper, but his last fucking words. So yeah, Stan learns that he has found the clitoris.
Yep.
That was what was huge and throbbing in the forest. And learns that his friends need him, but quite obviously, uh, you know, Stan refuses. He's like, first I need to figure out how to get Wendy back before I go save him. And then the clitoris just gets tired of him. It's like, dude, just buy her some fucking ice cream. She's 8. It's
Yep.
all like that'll fix anything. And it's like, holy hell. And, you know, Stan's okay. It's like, ah, sweet ice cream. Okay. So he's going to go back. He's going to go save his friends. We're finally reaching into the third act here, folks. We're almost an hour and a half into this, and we are just now reaching the third act. Um, the road back, which the clitoris disappears, and Stan has found Gregory and Wendy. They help get Stan to his feet, and Stan is going to make his way back to save his friends. The switch is pulled, and Terrence and Phillip at the O show are lighting up like the fucking 4th of July. But so is Kyle, Ike, and Cartman. But there is a catch. Uh, the Canadians have started bombing. So it saved Terrence and Phillip, but Cartman is still stuck on the electric chair. Now I do know they changed it for the movie where he stepped on a live wire, and
Yeah.
this is what bestows him with the powers to help conquer the
Yeah.
film's villains.
His V
Uh,
chip goes haywire, and he is able to harness
exactly.
the electricity power.
Yeah. So now, anytime that Cartman swears, it's like he has the power of Raiden from Mortal
It's
Kombat.
like
I wouldn't even say
snap.
Thor. It's like, yeah. And he's like, wait a second. And so yeah, Cartman and everyone else are saved and everything because of the V chip. It kind of shortened out, took out the power. So for once, you could sit there and say that Cartman saved Kyle's life. Uh, and in hell, Kenny and Satan are setting Saddam's room on fire. Like, he's in hell, he's dead. It's like, I don't think this is gonna fucking work. If anything, it's gonna piss him off and everything. But yeah, so it's, it's right before any bloodshed gets spilled. The bombs are going off. Terrence and Phillips are kind of saved for the moment, and they're waiting. They're waiting for that apocalypse. And we jump right into the resurrection. Our heroes are now facing their threats. Um, the chaos ensures a lot of casting characters from the first three seasons of South Park are dying. Ned and Jimbo and Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison ends up giving his Mr. Hat off to Kyle. He's like, "Please save Mr. Hat." uh, and General Plimpkin has his troops, and he's enforcing Operation Human Shield. And whenever the Canadian tanks are coming in, Chef and them sit there, say, "All right, man, on your mark, get ready," and then they leaped out the damn way, and all of the racist white soldiers get blown to bits.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just like we practiced.
just like we practiced. Yeah, and it's like, oh my god. And they're like, oh my god, Chef, it worked. And it's like, of course it worked. And like Chef's like, I'm not fucking stupid. And it's like, uh so yeah, more South Park faces are soon falling to the army. Mackie is dying, Big Gay Al is dying. On the side, the Mothers Against Canada are watching over a hill, and it's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
And of course, fucking the
Shit has
McCormick's
officially hit
wife,
the fans.
the McCormick's mom, is she's like over here fucking still counting off her money. It's like, dude, there are people dying and blowing up. You're still over here. Like, yeah, you're upset, but you're it's not like I gotta count my money. I gotta sit to see how much I made off my poor dead Kenny, who's such a good boy and totally not in hell for, the shit that he's done in the past three seasons. And yeah, like they cut ties from Sheila. Uh uh I forgot Stan's mom. I know I said it earlier. Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
drawing a
remember her
blank,
name,
but
but yeah,
but
she's like, our
her,
kids are about to almost got killed out here, Sheila, and
yeah,
tries to talk talk some sense into her and goes off
they
to save
try
her
to,
kids.
but she just refuses. And Sheila is trying to rally him back, but she's like, we have to do what we have to do to live in a smut free world. And also too, it kind of makes me wonder if she would have gotten away with all this, what would have been the next thing she target. you know like, would she really target like the like, I guess, like Playboy here in America? I'm surprised she didn't go after them first. uh
Yeah,
but
but I mean,
yeah, it's,
like bad words are more like widely available and aren't something like that can't ever end, you know.
yeah, but
So
you can at least back then you could still buy a nudie magazine at any place that had a magazine rack. You can buy any of that stuff. Uh but yeah, it kind of like makes you wonder. It's like what all would she have gone after, um after this? But I digress. The mothers leave Sheila behind, but you know what? Sheila refuses because a rifle falls right at her feet, and she ends up taking the gun into the war. She's gonna fight for her cause. She's dying on that hill. She is that damn determined. And Terrence and Phillip, they're over here dodging gunfire. They're trying to make their way to safety. And Sheila finds them and plunges the bayonet blade right into Terrence's abdomen. And right when that blood, which again, it's the most dramatic shot in the whole fucking movie, right when that blood hit that damn ground, bam, the seventh seal has been broken. and hell's armies are rising, and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? Satan and Kenny are crawling out of the crater. They're ready. Kenny's ready um, to save his friends, and Satan's ready to live a new life on Earth. And
Yep.
Stan regroups with Wendy and Gregory, and La Resistance is all back together. Kenny, who followed Satan, also regroups with his friends. And Kenny's first thing is, we need to get those 10 proof of purchases, snacky s'mores. We need to get those fucking now, as soon as possible. That's what's going to save the day. Kenny has the golden ticket that is what's going to save everything that has gone to shit. Um, and the folks of South Park, they're killing one another. It's kind of almost like there seems like the moment that they noticed Satan, they still were killing each other. So it almost sit there and seems like, if we know the world's going to hell, we might as well sit there and kill as many people as we can. Because I guess that logic, it's like, we can't do any worse. Satan's here, you know. Um, Again, what do you think so far about the structure and kind of like the flow? Do you like, to me, it feels like everything goes chaotic and everything gets thrown at the wall here in the third act.
I mean, like, it's all like had a natural progression, and like the
Yeah,
buildup has been a little like crazy, but like it fits in terms of the story, and like
yeah,
Sheila just trying to like build up to this whole apocalypse ending here. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, like she realizes the error of her ways now, and Satan is uh, now leading an apocalypse on Earth, and it's
yeah.
all just not worth it in her pursuit of erasing Canada's bad smut language
Influence.
entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah,
So she
and
realizes the error of her ways, and Saddam Hussein crawls out of hell, begins
mhm.
taking control of Satan. The boys bring up to say to Saddam and Satan 10 proof of purchase of like
Yeah, they
deal
were
that they
so
made
quick with
earlier.
that.
Yeah,
I guess they must have gotten them from Cartman.
probably ran a
like that.
secret
That's my
stash.
only guess. It's either that or they went to a store. It's like, why not the apocalypse? Just fucking rob them. Just like rip the little box thing off. And but also too, we must add, Sheila finally bowed down to Satan. She bowed down to no one, not even President Clinton, uh, not the UN, nothing.
Yeah.
But apparently, it took Satan to bring upon the apocalypse, or really the her to bring on the apocalypse, just for her to drop down. And it's like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And it's like, no, like, you should have sat there and said that 60 pages ago. Like,
Yeah.
now
Well,
look where you're at.
the devil's really right at your door, your in front of you here, so can't really
Yeah.
blame him. You know,
And yeah, now Saddam Hussein's on Earth. Take it
consequences
away,
have
Chris.
officially manifested.
I figured this is your favorite part of the whole story. Saddam coming up.
Oh, yeah. Satan tells Saddam that he can't do it, that he has made a deal, but Saddam puts Satan in his place and takes control of the army. Cartman uses his power from the V chip malfunctioning and goes off on a whole little, uh, I guess, bad word tangent. You know, just
Yeah.
powering himself up and
Shit,
blasting
cocksucker,
Saddam.
yeah.
Yeah, Bob Saget. Able to defeat Saddam and beat him. Saddam calls out for Satan for help, but he insults him as he's calling for help, which is fucking stuff, dumb of
I
Saddam.
know
But
you're calling for help. It's like, don't look at me
yeah,
like that, you big dumb bitch. It's like, fucking help me. And it's like, oh my god.
Saddam, Satan finally gets enough will strength to throw Saddam back into hell, and everyone cheers at the news that Saddam is dead again. Like,
I
yeah, we
guarantee
beat the
you,
bad guy.
I guarantee you, there were people probably in that audience that were fucking cheering. You probably had a few patriots, like real strong heart patriots, standing up in the crowd, just fucking clapping their hands in the movie theater, like, yeah, Satan threw Saddam back in the hell. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
That was for the fans. But upset, Satan asks Kenny for the 10 proof of purchases. He offers any wish he wants, and Kenny, being the good, kind-hearted spirit he is, wishes for everyone to come back to life before the war broke out. knowing that he died before then and will possibly go back to hell. Satan accepts
Yeah.
his wish and he brings everyone back into to life. And he goes back to hell, and Satan finds Mr. Hat, and he takes him with him to hell as being a new friend.
Mr.
So,
Garrison going,
yeah,
no,
which
because he did it
Mr.
again when Kyle was like holding Mr. Hat. He's like, why the fuck am I still carrying this? He throws it. You hear
Yeah.
Garrison in the background, no. It's like, I thought you died like fucking 5 pages ago, and he does it again when Satan takes it, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, this is probably the only film that we ever have rallied behind the devil to fucking sit there and defeat the true evil in the universe. And oh my
True
god,
evil is mankind.
oh
Uh,
my god. But
but
yeah, so
we've reached the return.
yeah, we've reached it. It's it's the return. The mothers are happy to be reunited with their children. There's a laugh of foul language. It's kind of almost similar again to the episode where it's the chicken pox and the boys go and they get that hooker to wipe her herpes on all their household objects, and then everyone had herpes, and then of course Cartman's like, Mom, why don't you have herpes? Oh, I do, but they're elsewhere. And then everyone's fucking laughing, and it's like, so it kind of felt like that. It felt like some of these moments in the movie were throwbacks to old episodes. Like they're like we have to wrap it up in some kind of wholesome, like, oh, this is like just like an event that happened like in a week, but tune back in next week to figure out what's going to happen in South Park again. um
Yeah.
the return is pretty quick. It's just a real wrap up. It's like only like really I think half a page. Stan offers to take Wendy to go get some ice cream, and wish she replies happily and joins them, and disregards Gregory. And even whenever he asks, like, um, it's like, well, what about Gregory? It's like, oh, fuck him. It's like, let's go get some ice cream, because obviously that's all she, I guess, must have wanted. She just wanted to go get some ice cream. Though, really, in all fact, she wanted to spend time with Stan. Stan did not get that. Stan was always hanging out with the guys, and really, that's always been in the TV show too. Is
Yeah.
anytime that Wendy actually really just wanted to be with Stan and actually hang out, he was off, figuring out why Cartman got an anal probe, or why did uh, Man Bear Pig is running rampant throughout South Park. There's always some adventure that takes Stan away from her, and she's always the one trying to pull Stan. Like,
Yeah.
come on, like at least spend a day with me.
Well,
And
and they in the show, like he's always just so nervous around her. Like even a little
yeah,
peck
at
on
the
the
first
cheek
couple
will
of
get him
seasons,
to throw up on her.
yeah, ew, gross. And then of course in the movie when he does it, he's like, I'm sorry. She's like, it's okay, Stan. And like they just hold hands and walk away. It's like the most cutest, slightly disgusting thing ever. Is the boy pukes on her, and she's like, it's okay. And she understands him and she accepts him for his flaws. That it's like anytime that he talks to her, because he loves her to death,
Yeah.
and that's just his involuntary reaction, and it's like so much butterflies are in his stomach that it just gets an upset stomach. um and there's this joyousness of Uncle Fucker is closing out the movie with a song, and we reach the McCormicks, and they're like, we're really sad that we lost Kenny. Still, like, we aren't getting our son back. It's the one family, which to me it's like, where the fuck are the rest of your kids? You have like 3 other kids, you
Yeah.
know like Kenny is
They're not
obviously the
important.
oldest. I guess for this movie, I do know they do show up within the first 3 seasons, uh because again the chickenpox one, they go to stay the night over at Kenny's, and Cartman is singing in the ghetto while on the way by Elvis Presley. um and then of course he's like, what are we gonna be having with our Eggos? And it's like a fucking table with just a toaster oven, and it's just one Eggo. And like Kenny's like over here like about to take one. He's like, no, now you're gonna have to share with your brother. And I think it's like only 3 or 4 pieces of Eggo waffle, and like the whole
Yeah.
family has to live off of that. And I was like, oh my god. And but yeah, like there's like a lot of throwbacks,
Things are
and
pretty rough.
and they gotta be for them. And we actually do pick up on Kenny, and Kenny's not in hell. He's rising up into heaven with all the big-breasted angels that he loves and wants, because he did a selfish act of courage and saved his friends in his town, even though some of those people did not deserve to be saved, because of their actions and whatnot. But he saved them all, and so he was granted entrance into heaven. And that's very much how this script ends. Again, going back to like to the film itself that got released, this script is not that far different. It carries a lot of the same plot beats, or the story beats, as I should say. Obviously, some of the songs are different. Obviously, the MPAA would not sit there and allow Cartman to tell Mr. Garrison, "How would you like to gargle rat jizz?" Yeah, I'm pretty sure even when they wrote that line down, it's like MPAA is not allowing us to do. Like, we're gonna have to find an alternative and everything. And but again, like as much as this was a nice laugh, this was a really nice conversation piece on censor. I think it's probably the best one on censorship. Is when we get this way, there's always going to be some radical person, and we do see it with today's culture and today's uh, um, like political landscape of it could be like the smallest issue and it could be turned up to the extreme. And Matt and Trey, they foresaw that. They knew exactly what was going on. And uh this is actually a really, really good story. It's a story about love. It's a story about censorship. It's a story about getting into heaven with all the big breasted, beautiful angels. What's not to love about this, Chris? Chris, what are your final thoughts on this?
Uh, Freaking fantastic. I am just a little bit like wanting to. I wish they kind of went more into the whole Nazi thing, but like that was pretty like blatant in the
I
movie.
think they went hard enough as it is
Yeah.
without, yeah.
I don't know.
Especially after
I
that
think in
revelation you
in the
did for
final
me.
theatrical cut, I feel like they cut back on it a little bit, but you know, that I guess they needed to appease the MPA, for the censorship
I
board.
think you can only talk so much about it before it really, because like what that came out in '99, 6 years ago. They had Schindler's List,
Yeah,
and but also too that was covering what actually happened. Where this is more of making a fictitious comparison of the situation at hand, and um, but yeah, like yeah, this is folks. You guys got to read the script. You got to watch the movie. It's actually nice. It's pretty plain. It's pretty tame by today's standards.
yeah,
Like I think almost anything released by Seth Rogen and James Franco is like probably a little bit more risque um, compared to some of it. At least like with the interview or the interview or whatever it's called.
yeah. It's the
But
interview.
other than that, like, huh?
It's the interview.
Yeah, the interview. It's like obviously like I know people are gonna sit there and say it's all like, well, I'm not watching if it's political. It's like, look, everything is political. It's in everything. There is no getting around it. This film just screams it right in your face because they want you to make sure that you get the message of, hey, this is the road that we are leading to. It's like, is this really where you want to go? Uh, and it seems like we really haven't, you know, learned our lesson.
Nope.
But
In fact,
Chris, is that it?
what? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's it. Like, just I mean, a few minor changes, like from the story, like the Canadians are actually bombing the Baldwins in the movie. I feel like
That's right.
Stone and Parker like had a dig
Did
against
not
the
like the Baldwins.
Baldwins because like
Yeah,
they use Alec Baldwin as the main bad guy in Team America.
yeah.
So
Um, I don't know
uh,
if it's like who knows. Maybe they're like just really, really good friends with the Baldwins, and they're like, and the Baldwins are like, yeah, we love it when you put our name out there because that means people are like reminded of who we are, even though we could be getting bombed or we could be playing the villain or you
yeah.
know. But yeah, will that wrap it up for today, Chris?
Yes, sir. Well, we'll wrap it up.
All right, well, folks, that's all that we got here for today. South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Do check it out. I do believe the movie is on Paramount Plus, and I think you can still
Okay.
watch the TV show
Paramount
on
Plus, HBO Max, I think.
HBO Max. Is the majority of the show, but
Yeah,
they only have Paramount only has the movie and it has the COVID specials because those
yeah,
were Paramount exclusives. So if you want to go back to where it all began, it's HBO Max, and then you can pick on up with where it's left off here on Paramount Plus. Folks, if there's a movie you want to cover, do sit there and shoot a message in the Discord or not Discord. Oh my God, I got my Twitch brain on. Don't do that. Don't do that. shoot a message into our social DMs if there's a movie you want us to cover, and if you actually found the script for it, for us to sit there and read the script and actually make an analysis of the story. Um, Chris, where can we find you on the socials?
Zealous Slacker.
And folks, you can find me on Twitch and most of the socials at the Gothic Storyteller. And folks, don't forget to leave a review and support the show, as well as join our Patreon. Where you will only see the video only version of this. Probably after we are done with this year, we'll start uploading the video onlys to our YouTube. But we definitely want our Patreon folks to, get the first glimpse to this. You guys sit there and support us the most. So yeah, we love to sit there and reward you with your support. Uh, Folks, that'll be it for today. And don't stop watching movies. See you later, everyone.